This episode of Juicy Scoop is brought to you by Booking.com, Booking.yeah. Every time I use Booking.com to find a place to stay in the U.S., I know they'll have exactly what I'm looking for. They have a huge variety of options from hotels to vacation rentals, and I'm always able to find something that fits my specific needs. I found that Booking.com has something for everyone. No matter who you are, Booking.com helps you find the stay that's ridiculously right for you. Find exactly what you're booking for on Booking.com, Booking.yeah.
Heather McDonald has got the juiciest scoop. When you're on the road, when you're on the go, Juicy Scoop is the show to know. She talks Hollywood tales, her real life Mr. Segment serial data, and serial sister. You'll be addicted and addicted fast to the #1 tabloid real life podcast. Listen in, listen up. Whoop, whoop. Heather McDonald, Juicy Scoop.
Hello and welcome to Juicy Scoop. I have a doubleheader great show for you guys. Before I get into that, I just want to say congrats to all the lucky Juicy Scoopers who are coming to see me tomorrow night, Friday, at the Palladium in New York City, Times Square. Such a great show. Also, then the next day, I'm jetting off and I'm going to see you in DC at Lincoln Center. That is Saturday, February 15th. And then Sunday, February 16th, I'll be at Red Bank, New Jersey with Andrea Lopez and Anna Roisman for a funny, hilarious, juicy, everyone will love it show. So get your ticks, come see me. Make the most of this Valentine's weekend, okay? And everything's at heathermcdonald.net, along with my Palm Springs date, March 1st with Brandy and Julie. So let me tell you what I got for today's show, okay? Really hilarious, funny interview with our girl, Sonja. Don't touch the Morgan letters. Okay, Sonja Morgan, OG. I got her backstage. She was just about to take the stage and model, as she says, lingerie. And this is very funny, very juicy. It's just Sonja all the way. And then we go right into my next interview with the points guy. Brian Kelly is an amazing guest. He's an incredible author. He will tell us everything, how to get the most out of your credit cards, travel. But we also get into some housewives juice, and because he's a fan of that, as well as how he became a single father as a gay man, which is very interesting, about surrogacy and all of it. Love being an entrepreneur at age 12. You're going to love both these interviews. So what a fun, juicy scoop episode. And here we go. Hello, I am here with the one and only Sonja Morgan. Sonja, thank you. So you are modeling tonight, you said.
Right. I'm modeling lingerie tonight, and they're waiting for me backstage, but I said, I have to go on the Juicy Scoop. This is my girlfriend through Josh Flagg. You know, we're like family. She sat at the family table for, his party for Nikki Haskell. Remember with the parents?
Yes. Is it? Yes, that was a really fun night. Wait, is it lingerie or lingerie?
It depends if you want to say it in English or French. So lingerie is French. So look what I'm eating, of course, as a 60-something-year-old model. This is what I eat before: prosciutto, pesto, cream. So my belly sticks out like Kate Moss. Remember they killed Kate Moss when she modeled lingerie? Like the haters came out saying, "Oh, you're too old. You have a belly, honey. Never too old."
And so, wait, were you doing? So this is for Fashion Week. You're doing all like cool, real fashion shows.
This is official New York Fashion Week. And they said they're having iconic, people on to model in each set. And then there's this singer, Maya. I'm a part of pop culture, but I don't know anything about it. So she's supposed to be like some famous singer and absolutely gorgeous. And they have some top models. And I didn't brush my hair. I got shagged last night, and so...
Oh, you did? Who'd you sleep with?
Well, because the Viking and I are done. It was a year and a half. He ghosted.
Now, why do you call him the Viking? Was he really from...
Yeah, he's
really a Viking?
He's Icelandic or
Nordic?
Norwegian.
Like a Nordic?
He has a beard, like strawberry red blonde hair.
And you guys were exclusive... Wait, you were exclusive boyfriend and girlfriend for a year and a half?
Yeah, the New York Post tried to out him and everything. I kept him, I have to keep him under a rock. You know what happens around me. Everybody steals my boyfriends.
So who's this? Who's the guy from last night?
Oh, so I met a guy last night that I met before. So we did a little rendezvous because, I'm in New York. I sold the townhouse. I'm at a hotel. So he met me at the bar, and it's looking up. It's looking up. It's going forward. And I didn't meet him on one of those dating apps, with the fish in your hand and no shirt.
Yeah.
No, this guy, I'm telling you, this is good. So I'm excited.
And so now you live in Palm Beach?
Yes, I have a beautiful condo, and that's my home base now. So when I'm flying out, like this weekend, I'm doing the Paramount Theater. You know that theater, it's huge.
Yeah. Uh-huh.
And the Wellmont on Saturday in New Jersey. So I have friends from New York coming to both. And of course, they do my hair and makeup, so I don't bother. I know it's rude to show up like this.
So you're living in Palm Beach. Have you heard about the new reality show that's starting in Palm Beach? Have you heard about this?
I heard that, but there's nothing there. There's nothing there. Trust me.
Okay.
I mean, you might as well watch the new RHONY, the new RHONY, or however you say it, Real Housewives of New York. That's not gonna. No, nobody's that I know is accepting that one. So I would tell
no one's accepting.
If I thought it was something, if I thought it was something you should be talking about or be on the, it hasn't even been picked up. So,
okay. I just wondered if they were like trying to get you on it.
No, I mean, I'm too expensive for Bravo now. Who the hell can afford me down there? OGs get too much money. We're out. We're on the curb, baby. We're doing OnlyFans and cameos and Zooms and burlesque shows.
Burlesque. Listen. So wait. So have you watched any of the RHONY, the last 2 seasons, the new girls?
No, I haven't even watched the end of Crappy Lake, and I saw the first 3 episodes because I was with my lover, the year and a half Viking, and he liked watching it. Guys really like Crappy Lake, with my snatch guard Luann Dillsett.
Yeah.
But people are calling me and Luann and everyone. They all want to hire us and do sizzle reels and all that. So something will shake out.
Oh, a lot of people want to do new shows with you guys. You mean?
Yeah. And you know me, I don't want to do drama anymore. I'm tired of turning the other cheek. I want to do the comedy like you. I like to be the funny girl.
So what about doing more Ultimate Girls Trip? I think they put a pin in it because of all the controversy with Brandy and Caroline Manzo, but all the fans want to see more Ultimate Girls Trips. Wouldn't you go do that again?
Is that the word on the street? As Aviva Drescher would say. We are all open to a trip and short season, short filming, anything that's going to be just a couple of weeks, 10 days, and we get a few episodes short. Me and Luann are totally booked on our tours. Like you have your tour dates.
Right, yeah.
You don't just go cancel them because you're going to go, do something else. So I really need to know ahead of time. I've got like 15 cities. I'm doing like 4 cities in California. I'm doing Florida. So now I fly out at PBI. It's incredible, Heather. No, I don't have to do LaGuardia. I don't have to do Kennedy. And I don't have to pay $120 to go stand there practically like Fred Flintstone, making the car go for myself. I just go to PBI. It's like $6. It's so close because I live in West Palm on the water.
Yeah. Now, what about all those?
Young. You're too young for Palm Beach. Your son's too young.
I performed in Palm Beach, and it's just the cutest, most it feels like a movie. I love all the colors and the style and the rich people. What about the men down there?
You got the bathing suit bod, you still have that. I wear one piece and hide. I'm like, ugh. Meanwhile, I'm doing lingerie today, but that's all right. That's to inspire all the other women like me out there. So yeah, and you're too young to go to Palm Beach because you have your son still. He's still home. My daughter moved out. She's in Hollywood. She's doing finance.
Well, no, both my boys are in college, but are you looking to score some rich older men? Because I went out one night and I saw Ramona out.
Oh, and she has a great boyfriend.
She has a great boyfriend. And so what about, you don't want to find someone more serious, or you're just having fun playing the field?
No, I do, but I don't think she met him in Palm Beach. From what I can tell is, that's a very small pond, Palm Beach. I'm more of an international jet setter type. Those, a lot of the hot-looking guys there, I don't know if you noticed, they're looking for sugar mama.
Yeah.
All the cute guys are married to women that you say, oh, she must have the money. You can just tell. And then the older guys are all married, I suppose. I mean, I do
Yeah.
like a guy, less hair than me and a bigger belly. There's plenty of that. But I'm not going to go around eyeballing people's old men, down there. Like, I can't do that. I don't want to be like canceled by the local matrons of society.
So when you hear about all the fans being like, bring back the OGs, we miss our girls and everything. Is there a little bit of vindication because they did just send you guys off to pasture and replace you with girls that are not nearly as entertaining? I think they're all wonderful women in their own right, but as an ensemble, as a show, it just cannot compare to the original RHONY. How do you feel about that?
Well, I'm not vindictive. That's not my style. I mean, I'm sorry it didn't work out for
Not
them.
vindictive,
They couldn't
not
fill
vindictive.
our shoes. They can't fill our shoes. I mean, that's why we're the OGs. That's why we had so many seasons. Plus, Andy Cohen's first book said the best franchises are the girls who really are friends. We're all dear friends. We knew each other for decades. It's more like, it's an ensemble cast of people that know each other and have a trust level, and they can fight like sisters, and be real about it. But no,
I think
I'm
also,
not but what I do feel
no,
is
I didn't say,
right, Heather? It was good for us to show that you don't
no, but I
just
didn't
throw
want to,
something
wait,
against the wall and get us.
I didn't say vindictive. I said vindicated, just kind of like told you so a little bit.
I think it gave us a seal of approval that, you just can't fill our shoes. They should have done a different title. First of all, I think it was unfair to those girls to go with hashtag Real Housewives of New York. That didn't make sense to me. That's our hashtag. I think they could have been the new wives of New York City or something. Or the new kids on the block. Because they are basically kids compared to us. Other than Jenna Lyons, I think she's more our age. And I met all the girls. They're all great. You've met them, right?
I think they're all great and gorgeous too. I just think it's just a different type of show. You're right. It should have been called. And also they're all social influencers. So I think that plays a part in it being a little less fun because they're seriously working all the time, but in a job that's not fun to watch on TV. Taking photos of your outfits and posting about it is not a fun job to watch on TV. Having you guys put together a charity event that you were really doing that then had a bunch of snafus in real life was really entertaining to watch. And you didn't all have your phones out trying to get your own content at the same time. I think that's what the biggest difference is that people haven't really realized.
Well, I didn't watch it, but that sounds about right because the feedback I'm getting from people is just like, we don't want to watch them. They want to hear about our divorces and, losses in our life and how we keep going and inspire others to let them know that they can relate to us. And then, of course, there's the more money, more problems thing that always makes people feel better. People want wisdom and they want to laugh. And I think all of us are funny.
You're all all funny, Jill, Dorinda, Luann, everybody. And it's also that no filter New Yorker. Like you guys there is a type of woman that makes you the New Yorker that I am not, that I'm like, oh my God, like Jill will just say stuff and I'll just die laughing because it's like, oh my God, you remind me of my New York, aunt back in the day. And like, there's something about a New Yorker that when you're true blue New York, you just don't give a shit and you say it. And that is what I also think made the show so authentic.
I think so too. Even myself, when I see someone from New York and I recognize the accent and the mojo, like loading the plane from, I forget where it came from, DC, because I had a show in DC. So I'm in DC coming off the show and people there are like really easygoing. And I'm going to get on the plane to LaGuardia and you can tell they're New Yorkers. They're just like moving that line so fast. And all the stewardess are so happy because everyone has their ticket ready. Everyone has their baggage the right size. There's no fumbling. You don't get in front of somebody at Starbucks in Manhattan and not know your order, right?
Right. That is great. So tell me a little bit about your shows. Like, what are you doing? How does it work?
So it started out, I had a couple of sidekicks and, sing-song skits that you've seen me do on Real Housewives, the White Swan or, the Marilyn Monroe, like fun skits. And then it got too expensive. Like you always hear Luann say, it's too expensive. I can't pay you, babe. Here's $250. Try to get your nails done for that. But no, I cut the expenses down. I don't have the piano player anymore. I don't have the big screen up there. I don't have like these new songs written. I'm just coming out, doing improv, flying from the hip. I start with my chair dance, which is always hilarious. You've seen that when I did them on the show. So I put some new moves in there for this first quarter. And then I wear my headdresses and fans and ostrich, everywhere flying. It's chaos. And people are scared I'm going to, break a hip at my age. My fans love me. And so they're always like, oh my God. Oh. And then we do the Q&A, which I've got some crazy fans. I don't call them fans, they're contemporaries. I mean, they're telling me about three ways and choking each other out. And you wouldn't believe the things they tell me. I mean, they're asking me questions. Have you ever done that? I'm like, no, I haven't been choked. No, not literally. Yeah, I know it's like a thing guys do, but it's not like, oh, you won't believe what comes out with the Q&A. And then now, I mean, the meet and greet, I used to like sign people's phones. Then it was their boobs. Now they bend over, pull down their pants. I sign their ass cheek. It's total chaos. It's so much fun.
Oh, good.
I mean, do
Well,
you
I'm glad.
sign people's asses at your show?
I've not signed an ass. I have signed a boob. I do get great gifts. I got a Chanel wallet.
Oh no, my
That
crowd
was my
never gives
best
me
gift.
Chanel. They know I'll just, give it to my daughter. I like the fake shit. I gave my daughter all my Birkins. She took everything out of
Oh,
storage.
oh yeah. She had a viral TikTok. People didn't
She's
realize
good.
she was your daughter when it first went, and she was like, "Oh my God!" And look at all these Birkins that I have for my mom. And then people look down at the name and they're like, "Oh my God, that's Sonja's daughter." Yeah.
I'm so proud of her that she does that on her own.
Yeah, it was good. It was funny.
I think
So,
she learned from her mama how to do that, but still have a professional job in finance. She isn't.
what was it being your daughter? Has she ever had a problem with you and your reality stardom?
No, I think when she was younger, like she'd come home from school at 3, I would always be with her, do her homework, have her snacks. She's like that. She has to have the home. She's straight A's since forever. She graduated summa cum laude, or however you say it. Sounds like cum laude. I don't like to say it wrong. But she always has been a bookworm, a Libra, very balanced. She doesn't like the limelight. She likes, she's the ambassador. I think when she was that age, she would mind if I had to go film right after. I'd leave her at 4 and then she'd go to bed at 6. That bothered. But once she got older, she was fine. Some loser, he knows who he is, I'm sure, but some guy that has a podcast somehow got my daughter on there. And he actually said to her, and she was very professional and very inspirational. I didn't watch it, but I got the clip because someone sent it to me. He said, "Oh, don't you get embarrassed of your mom or something like that?" She's like, "No," without skipping a beat. She said, "Everything my mom does is for me. She's a pop culture icon.
That's
That's the way
great.
things are today." So she's very cool. She told
Yeah.
me to dump the house. She goes, "I don't care how little you get for it. Just dump it," because I found a place in Florida. Like, get your life started.
Do you feel like that townhouse was just like an ongoing nightmare? Like it was another character on the show. It just like kept coming back from the dead. Like it was like, what was that?
It was Great Gardens, right? He was coming back from the dead. Well, that's the whole thing. I want my daughter to have security. She was a very sensitive type, and the divorce shook her up a bit. So I just wanted her to have security in the house, and all her friends are international. My godson, who's like her brother, he went to the Rose in Switzerland, and she went to TAP. So we had all these international kids staying at the house. Every couch was made up as a bed.
Yeah.
So I didn't want to take that out from under her. And then when she moved to Hollywood, I'm like, why am I one person living in, on 5 floors, my garden, my balcony? I used to spend a day in the basement, like Dorinda in the basement. No, good riddance. Goodbye, house.
So what did you finally get for it?
I don't even remember. It was so low. I know I had to take a mortgage when I was sued. I had a Chapter 11. I had a slate of pictures I was doing. Well, one movie was with Forrest Whitaker and Gabrielle Anwar, and that won awards. I was doing great. And then somebody set me up. It's called like a whatever. It was terrible. So yeah.
So you were like an investing producer.
So I took a
on
mortgage
these
on my
shows?
house for that lawsuit. This is what I was saying. So that
Oh,
whatever I sold it for, it covered the mortgage plus some crumbs, and I'm out of there. And now any income I have is just for me. Well, I'm still supporting my daughter, like many of us. I mean, anybody who has a kid under 30 has to help them these days. It's just not the same when
yeah,
I grew up.
right. And do you what about the Morgan letters? Well, that was one of famous moment. Don't touch the Morgan letters. How do you feel about the Morgan letters today?
Good. I
And,
still I'm doing the LGBTQ parties in the summer at the Morgan Library, and I'm still on the board of some of the Morgan charities. And, I'm a Francophile, so one of the museums, and JP Morgan's daughter, is over in France. So I still have all that going on. And, I support artists, LGBTQ, animals, children. So that all ties in because it's a French American museum, and a lot of my LGBTQ friends are artists, so I can help them out. Like Hans Leinam is a really good friend. He just
that's
texted like a few minutes ago.
yeah, that is great. And so when do you come to LA again and to stay with Josh Flagg?
Well, he just texted me, when am I going to see your pussy? I'm just like, okay, how many times do I have to show it to him? He misses me so bad. So now he has this new house, right? He has the
Uh,
new one he's still building, and then he has the new one that I just stayed in. Um, and he has Kelton, who we call Crouton. That's his, I want to say, fiance.
yeah.
He was crushed when his last relationship broke up. And, I had to go
Uh,
there and sleep with him and take bubble baths and take care of him. He lost so much weight. He was very sad about that breakup. Now I can tell you he's a new man with Kelton. They're wonderful together. So
yeah.
beautiful together. So I'm going to go out there soon because I have these 4 shows in California and I have Seattle. So what I'll do,
Tell us about the California. Do you know your California dates offhand, or where can they find all their dates?
March, I think. Um,
Maybe I can come to
I'll
the
try to
LA
go
one,
end of
or it's
February because he's not going to wait till March 12, 11. He's not going to wait. But I
not going
do
to wait
have
for you.
Monterey. I'm looking forward to that. Napa's already sold out.
Oh, great.
And then I'm going to do Ventura. That's when all my LA's friends are coming to. And that's
Okay,
between,
I'm close
Ventura.
to I'm
You
close
have
to
to go.
Ventura,
You
so
should
I'll
be the
come to that
MC.
one.
I think I already have an MC. But you should be the
Well,
opening
I'm
act.
whatever. Call me. I'm ready, but I'll go for sure. I like to
Yeah.
also be an audience member and cheer you on.
Yeah, you're
And
working a lot right now. You could deserve a little rest.
yeah, whatever. It'll be fun. Um, well, anyway, this was so great talking to you, and I know you have to go and be a supermodel. And yeah, let's go out. Let's hang out. Good luck with all the shows. You really are funny, off the cuff, and I'm sure people will have a great time.
We
So,
always have a great time.
where do they buy their tickets? Is there one site to
You
go to
can get them on
buy?
my website, Sonia Morgan Official, or just put in Sonia in your city. But don't go through those shit sites because the shitty sites, as
Right.
you know,
They
they don't have the meet and greet.
and
You have to
well,
go
also
to the actual theater.
they're more expensive too because they might be like second hand. So we don't want people to ever pay more than they have to. And then also, so all your other endeavors, the tipsy girl, the toaster ovens, the clothing, like what happened? Are you just ready? Are you think you'll ever get back
I,
into those fields?
Tipsy Girl, as you know, went 86 with that partner, which Bethany said it would anyhow. Not because of Bethany. I
Yeah.
mean, we survived that fight and we're good friends to this date. But I have my Sonia Sangria is doing very well. It's in Canada and in the US. And it's white and red. Uh, you know, there's no added sugar or anything. It's all natural and organic. So that's great. And then Cameo, I'm like, if you're on the board there, I'm always in the top 10 worldwide. But on the Bravo Celebrity list, I'm always in the top 1 or 2. So that's
Hmm.
been a mainstay for me, Cameo. And then my OnlyFans, on there, I share my makeup tips and, things that people are usually like follow me. I don't like whatever you call that when people surf you to find out what you're wearing. And yeah, it's
So
just
for
like,
your OnlyFans, you don't do sexy stuff?
oh, I will put on some sexy things for the pervs, but
Okay.
it's a sex workers channel to begin with. But then Hulu did this whole special on OnlyFans. Like Cardi B signed up right after me.
Uh-huh.
So
So are
it's an
you doing
English
well on
company,
Only?
and I had
Are
to
you
get a
doing
big sign-on bonus. Big sign on bonus. You should do it. Make them pay you up
What's it?
front.
Oh, really? Okay.
I can intro
Well,
you, but you don't have to
okay.
put, like Cardi puts on there, like for $500, you can see a video of her backstage making a new album. And I'll
Okay.
ask somebody $20 to get my favorite travel cosmetics or something. But I do put some, whatever I did on the show where I was like nude or whatever, and I'll see it like blurred out. I'll put that on there. I'll put on a booby dress. That I'll post things that some people want to see my feet. I don't
Hmm.
want to get paid for my feet. They said, "Can I pay you 500 to see your feet?"
And do you say yes, don't you?
No, I don't really want to attract that thing. I don't know. I know some girls like it. I'm not a foot fetish type of girl.
Yeah. Will you come back to BravoCon if they ask you?
If I have a show to promote, I only did it the 2 times because we had the crappy lake. But if I have a show to promote, I will do it. I think you're right. They should do another Ultimate Girls trip. And one of these other, what do you call sizzle reels or pilots I'm working on, something's going to stick. I mean, there are people out there that want to have us and not just a rotating cast. These rotating casts where they have you on once and then bye-bye. They don't want to have you
Right.
like 13 seasons where they have to keep paying you more
Right.
because
Not
the
not
fans
just
get
like doing
addicted.
like would you do the traders?
Now, they asked me to do that all 3 seasons, right? I can't just say, oh, yeah, I'm just going to, clear my calendar for 6 weeks of Sonia and your city, give you my phone and I can't do cameos.
Yeah.
You don't get your phone that. I don't
You couldn't do
understand.
OnlyFans then either, right?
Yeah, but I have interns that can post stuff for me on my OnlyFans because I have a stack of, I put everything in Dropbox that I want going on OnlyFans. And there I don't really have to put a caption. Yeah. It's not a back and forth. And I got $100 tip from a woman in Texas when I posted a moo I was wearing at a pool in Texas.
That's nice.
Not even a
Do,
lesbian from what I can tell.
so so do you pay your interns now?
No, they get school credit. And then
Oh,
they don't
okay.
leave. It's kind of like my lovers. They get breakfast and they don't leave. They check in, they don't check out. Once they get around, like sitting front row at this fashion today or flying with me to do Fiber One or Vita Coco, like flying around with me and styling me and getting all that sexy resume next to working at Barnes and Nobles, the last job. They really like the access. And my daughter said, you have to understand, most kids, we go to work in a cubicle and then we go out to Sweet Greens and we come back. They don't have the access you and I have. They're not at Josh Flagg's parties. They're not going to the Morgan Library and saying, hello, Mrs. Morgan is here. They get to see shit.
Yeah. But what about, have you ever wanted to get your daughter to work for you then? Why, you said she's in a little cubicle. Maybe
No,
she'd rather be doing.
no, she has a boss job.
Okay.
She actually has an office now because she was between Paramount and Disney. She went to Paramount and then a headhunter picked her up. And so now
Nice.
she's with the boss team of 18 people,
Great.
she crunches numbers for motion pictures. She knows everything. She knows everybody, everything.
I can't wait to see you one day being the mother of the bride. If she was to get married, do you think you'll be a good mother of the bride or a bad one?
Oh yeah, I'll be great. I've been great at all her graduations and meeting her dates. She always says, "Oh, I don't want to date for a while. Like I'm not gonna have a boyfriend." And then a year, 2 years, and then right away she has a boyfriend. I've never had a DTF kind of girl, so I'm just glad she's with her boyfriend now 4 years. I'm being escorted to the Adore Me fashion show.
Okay, you go have a great time. This was really fun, and we will see you soon. Maybe at the Ventura show or in Josh's
Come to
bathtub.
Ventura.
Yeah.
I'll make Josh pick you up in one of his fancy cars. And what else? You should get on OnlyFans.
Okay, maybe I will. We'll see.
Love you.
You're so funny. Congrats. Bye.
Bye.
This episode of Juicy Scoop is brought to you by Booking.com, Booking.yeah. Every time I use Booking.com to find a place to stay in the U.S., I know they'll have exactly what I'm looking for. They have a huge variety of options from hotels to vacation rentals, and I'm always able to find something that fits my specific needs. I found that Booking.com has something for everyone. So let me tell you, maybe you're traveling with your teens and you're like, what are we going to do? One eats so much, guess what? Let's find the place that has the all-inclusive breakfast every morning. That helps. The other one wants to do some fun hiking. You want to find a place that has hiking trails galore. We need the rooms that adjoin. Well, Booking.com has all of those places, and you're going to love it, and it's going to fit your family perfectly. No matter who you are, Booking.com helps you find the stay that's ridiculously right for you. Find exactly what you're booking for on Booking.com, Booking.yeah. Guys, it's time you start giving yourself the care you deserve. And let me tell you about iRestore. This is such an amazing product. The iRestore Elite, it's not just another gadget. It's an FDA-cleared laser cap. It's clinically proven hair regrowth solution designed to help you fight thinning hair and hair loss. It has 282 lasers and LEDs working to deliver light therapy right to your scalp. It is such a rejuvenating spa-like treatment. You guys will love it. You'll love it for your follicles, and it's going to give you a really fresh start. And my girlfriend has been using it, and she absolutely loves it. I've totally noticed a difference. She had like a very growing cowl kind of a thing in the back that is already, I'm seeing huge difference. She loves it. Just puts it on her head, watches TV, listens to Juicy Scoop, whatever. So it's the perfect time just to cozy up indoors and put this on your head and just go off and treat yourself. Give yourself the gift of hair confidence this February. For a limited time only, our Juicy Scoopers get $625 off their iRestore Elite when you use code JuicyScoop at iRestoreLaser.com. That's $625 off your iRestore Elite at iRestoreLaser.com with promo code JuicyScoop. Please support our show and tell them I sent you. Hair loss is frustrating and you don't have to fight it alone thanks to iRestore. Hello and welcome to Juicy Scoop. I'm very excited to have first-time author, but you are going to be so excited about this book, girls, because it's How to Win at Travel with Brian Kelly. He knows all the tricks of traveling, but he's also a tall drink of water, gay, sorry for the straights, gay dad of two little boys who he travels with, and but also just like a pop culture, like fun, good time.
Junkie. I'm a housewives whisperer.
Oh, everyone thinks they are.
No, but I really
have you really helped anyone though?
Have I helped them?
Have you really whispered and they've taken your advice and done something great?
Oh, yeah. I mean, I helped them all travel.
Oh, help them travel.
Yeah. I mean, and I also I'm an entrepreneur, so I want to start a side business, like helping them through their storylines. Because like as a gay with the pulse on like pop culture.
Okay, I don't know. Now I feel competitive with you. Because I truly have been the housewife consultant.
Yeah.
But I'm better than you because I do it for Christian service hours. And I just help out of the goodness of my heart.
I do too. Yeah, I shouldn't charge them. But you just watch some of these storylines, like you watch like Mia talking about her abortion storyline, which she thought was going to land differently, and you're just like, no. And they need good gays in their lives and good fabulous women.
And also, originally when I created the housewife consultant side business for only Christian service hours, was
Jesus Judge your first client?
I have helped her. I helped Alexis Bellino before she got the boot. I was giving her I think I was giving her very good advice. And I actually told her to tell Alex Baskin, I said, you need to say that, this at one time you are so positive and now that you and John are together, this Real House is supposed to see, and that you're going forward in your relationship, that when you come back on the show, you want to prove that you and Shannon can be friends and maybe even like double date one day. Like, why is that so unheard of? Like, this was all just can be cleaned up now or whatever. And she was like, what? I can't say that. I would never believe that. But I was just trying to, because I was like, I really wanted her to come back. I really did. I wanted to see the wedding. I wanted to see Tamara as a bridesmaid at 6 years old or whatever, which is all great. I wanted to see Heather Dubrow attempt to sing again like she did at Tamara's wedding. I wanted to see one of the other housewives officiate it. Vicky should officiate. Yeah, I wanted the whole season to be if Shannon was going to attend or not.
Yeah. But she came in too strong swinging, rubbing it in Shannon's face. And like, that's not a storyline like the female audience wants to watch, like the bitchy new girlfriend rubbing it in.
Yeah, that's never going to win with this audience.
Yeah.
But tell me how you, let's go back a little bit about yourself. So when did you become like such an expert of figuring this out? Because my husband is very good at it. But he's excited to get the book and he had some questions too. But without my husband, I don't even know that I ever would have done anything. I probably would have always just called an airline and just said, get me a ticket to Phoenix or whatever. Went online, and I don't even know, because it all seems so confusing.
It is. It's like learning a language. I actually learned in the 90s. So I'm 41. So when I was 8 or 9 years old, I got Prodigy Internet. I was like the hacker in my family. I'm one of 4 kids, middle-class family, grew up outside of Philly. And I remember installing the modem in my computer, putting the phone line in, like waiting to connect to the internet. So I became like the little hacker of our family. And my dad, he had gotten a job working from home for a startup, actually based in Chatsworth, California. And so he had to travel from Philly to California like every other week. And he challenged me. He was like, I need to book my own flights. And this is 1995 when like Travelocity just launched. So I was his travel agent. I was 12 years old.
That is the cutest story ever.
Booking his flights. And he would pay me $10 per flight because he thought I'd have to take like an hour to do it. Meanwhile, it was like 10 seconds. He didn't realize how easy it was. So it was a very lucrative gig for a 12-year-old. And so I was booking his travel. I just, like a little gay boy, in the closet, like I always just wanted to live this fabulous life. Like I always knew suburbia was not for me. And I was always jealous of my friends who, like the wealthy friends who would go to Europe. And, my family, we were very, like, I'm one of 4 kids. So like we would drive to the, Outer Banks or Maine for like a lake vacation. But my parents were not like the fancy
I also just think it's like either that's your vibe as a family or it's not. Or you're very comfortable with going. I remember Phil Rosenfeld, who created Everyone Loves Raymond.
Yeah.
And now he has a show, or did, where he goes around and tries food of all different countries, and it's a travel show. And he came on and he's like, here I am working with Ray Romano. We created this show, Everyone Loves Raymond. And he'd be like, what are you doing on the summer break? And he'd be like, oh, we're just going to Jersey, to the Jersey Shore. And he's like, you never want to do anything different? And Ray's like, no, And he's like, no, you really should. So then they actually wrote a whole episode where they go to Italy for the first time and even for Ray, who was, certainly had the money, certainly had somebody who could plan out the trip. I think sometimes for people, it just seems overwhelming. And I went to like Europe for the first time, and it was almost like a panic where I felt like if I keep putting this off, I'm going to be like not being able to walk around. Like, what am I doing? My kids are older. It's time that I go and like explore and do these things. But it does seem overwhelming to like book it and know that you're getting the best price. And okay, so you're this kid and you start doing this.
12-year-old. And then one day.
Do you take on any other clients at 12?
And funny, my other job was, I was on the AOL classifieds. eBay had just launched, and eBay was so popular that thrift shops, which is what it was made for originally, they couldn't upload because the servers were slammed during the day. So when I was 12 at night, these thrift shops would send me lists of what they wanted to list on this new marketplace. And in the middle of the night as a 12-year-old, I would upload because that's the only time the servers were free. So I was like a little entrepreneur in the 90s. And so yeah, my dad one day was like, we have all these frequent flyer miles. If you can figure out how to use them, we can go on a trip. And I had just read The Firm by John Grisham, and they were in the Cayman Islands. And as this overactive imagination kid who wanted to explore the world, I figured out, I called American Airlines and US Airways, and I like flew my mom and I on American Miles, my dad and 3 siblings, and Vrbo, vacation rentals by owner, had just launched as well. And that was the first marketplace where you could rent someone's vacation house. So we rented for like $1,500 this 2-bedroom, cute bungalow on the beach in Grand Cayman in this beautiful Rum Point, this beautiful secluded part of the island. And speaking of Jersey Shore, growing up in the Philly suburbs, like everyone went to the Jersey Shore, and it was expensive. It was like $10,000. Like, rental homes there are real. It's like almost as expensive as the Hamptons. People don't realize. And so we went to the Cayman Islands for less than $2,000, all 6 of us, free on points. We rented this house. And I talk about it in the book.
What number of are you in the family?
I'm the third of 4 kids. So I have 2 older brothers and a younger sister.
Okay. So when you brought everyone to the Cayman Islands, was it just like Brian is the greatest? Like, were you suddenly the favorite child and the favorite sibling all in one swoop?
Well, so the night before we left, I had my first I was in my bunk bed and I had a full-blown anxiety attack. I remember so vividly sitting there like my hands were in my armpits, like, am I going to get grounded? Like, what did I just do? Like, this is 1996 now.
And you're 12.
I'm 12. And true story, I told my dad, I was like, we're going to Grand Cayman, but he thought I said Grand Canyon. And back in those days, you didn't even get email receipts. So the tickets come in the mail and he's like, Owen Roberts International. He's like, where the hell are we going? We didn't even have passports. Back then, you didn't need a passport to go to the Caribbean. And he's like, I remember him, Brian, what the hell are the Cayman Islands? He's like, are there hospitals? I remember he panicked. He's like, what if we get sick? And so they basically trusted me at age 12 to book the trip. And I remember going through the airport because my dad and brothers got there first. And I was like, either he's going to be furious or like, and we go through immigration and he just like gave me the biggest bear hug and he was like, you nailed it. And it was like the most epic trip. There were 6 of us in this 2-bedroom. We were like all sleeping on sofas and stuff, but we were on the beach and in the Cayman Islands where we just snorkel all day. We all got sunburned. We would play cards at night. Like it to this day is like one of the most amazing trips we've ever had. And I push parents today. I've talked to a lot of parents of teens, like give your kids responsibility for the family trip. Like allow them to like start planning even just a day. You know, you all need to figure out what the tours are, where we're going, do the research, set a budget, figure out the restaurants. And even if it fails and it's miserable, I firmly believe like being given that responsibility to help plan the trip like taught me so much. Like never in a million years did I think I would create like a little empire out of points and travel, but I do think like getting that responsibility, like set the groundwork.
I love it because I've seen people show TikToks of their child or they have a group, they have a family trip and each person does a little presentation of where they want the family to go. You know, the parents are paying, but like it's that same type of thing.
Like Bo's on the Housewives. Her daughter has to like do a PowerPoint. I love that.
I love that.
Instead of just creating spoiled kids who, you know, you roll out the red
like
carpet.
What museum are you interested in and why? Like, why don't you look up what would be a cool, or why not take the train from one country to the next? If you figure out the cool train that I see on this TikTok, tell me where that train is, how to get the tickets, what the best route to go, like all that kind of stuff.
Yeah.
So I love that idea.
So in the 90s, my dad and I, and then every year, so he traveled a lot for work. He'd miss my basketball games. I was terrible at basketball, so it was probably a good thing. I was like, but I'm 6'7", so my dad was always he's like, I'm the tallest in the family, and I was terrible at basketball. But every year we go to Barbados, Caymans. It was like, so we were doing this points thing in the 90s. Like I didn't even know that other people were doing this. And then it wasn't until like the early 2000s, I went to college. I was student body president. And I studied abroad in Madrid.
Where'd you go to college?
University of Pittsburgh. So I studied Spanish. I just always knew I wanted to be rich.
So you're fluent?
I mean, I'm not fully fluent. So I studied abroad in Madrid for 6 weeks. And so it was not enough to really pick up the language. And true story, I almost failed study abroad, which is very challenging to do. Like study abroad,
it's supposed to be kind of easy, right?
It's so easy. But have you been to Madrid?
No.
Spain? I mean, Spaniards know how to live. And they eat dinner at 11 p.m. That you go out to the club in Madrid at like 1 or 2, and then you close it down at 6 a.m.
And then what? And then what do you do? Just sleep all day?
Basically, and then they go into work at 10. Then they have a siesta in the afternoon. But I had all these field trips for my study abroad program. I missed every single one because I'm coming home at 6 in the morning. So I
honestly, that makes me not want to go to Spain.
Well, I mean,
like, not that I'm doing nightclubs at this point in my life, but like that, whenever I've heard that or about Ibiza or whatever, I'm always like, oh, I like the Palm Springs lifestyle of eating at like 5:30.
No, for sure. And Ibiza, I just went this year, and I think it's like Spain. I mean, every destination, like you can go to Mykonos and just do beautiful spa, relaxing. You can make. But I really caught the bug in college, and then I had miles of my own, and then I realized there was this whole underworld of people. So there's these frequent flyer community. So I discovered it in 2004. It was a website called Flyer Talk. Okay. So it was basically Reddit, but for these frequent flyers. And it was a moment where you realize like there's alien life out there because there were all these people doing what my dad and I had done, like people maximizing these airline programs to like, get the most value out of them. So I realized, oh my God, there's a whole community of people. I became like really engrossed in this world. And then
do you ever fear that by like cracking the code and sharing it, that they'll change it?
For sure. I mean, and
like
so when I started the Points Guy in 2010, like that community did not like, there were other bloggers out there, but I took this hobby. And I mean, the Points Guy, it started off small, but it took off pretty quickly. I mean, we have now, well over 150 employees, like 10 million people a month are reading the site, plus millions more in social. So I took like this little community.
And what is the name of your thing? Is it just the Points Guy?
The Points Guy is like the website, yeah.
It's a website, and you have 150 people working on the website.
Yeah, so we're one of the top travel websites in the world for content. Like if you Google anything travel related, our bread and butter, how I made money off of it is credit cards. So, because the best way to get points is credit cards. And in the US, there's like 15 top banks, Chase, Amex, Capital One, Wells Fargo. They'll give you tons of points to get a credit card. And then they all have bonuses. You can earn points on rent now. So anyone listening, if you are paying rent, there's a credit card called Bilt, B-I-L-T. No annual fee. You earn points on rent. And there is no fee to pay your landlord. Even if your landlord wants a check or a direct deposit, you will earn points. So this doesn't exist anywhere else in the world. Like the US is the global epicenter of points and credit cards. So I was writing about credit cards and a friend of mine from college was like, you should be using affiliate marketing. And in 2011, affiliate marketing was I was like, this sounds shady. This is scammy. But I realized because my audience, I was naturally writing about credit cards and it went from, I was making like a couple $100s a month in Google, AdSense, and then with affiliate marketing, I made $1 million in 6 months. It was like wild.
Because you had ads of hotels and stuff being part of your website?
No, so it wasn't even ads, it was just links. So I would say the Amex Platinum is the best credit card for Delta. And so then the New York Times wrote an article about me, which in 2011 shot my SEO ranking through the roof. I didn't know what was happening at the time. I'm working at Morgan Stanley. I'm like an HR recruiter, college recruiter. So my job was like going to college campuses. I'm making $70,000 a year, like basically living paycheck to paycheck. But at that job, I figured out how to use my corporate Amex because Morgan Stanley would pay it and I would get all the points. So I was broke as hell. Like I would leave New York on the weekends because I couldn't afford to pay dinner. Like when you go out for a friend's birthday and everyone's like, okay, everyone throw your card in. Like I was broke. So I would fly first class somewhere and I would get upgrades. I would get free breakfast. It was cheaper for me to fly first class around the world and stay in hotels than to stay in New York City on a weekend.
Question, bringing it back to Housewives. What did you think in The Real Housewives of New York when Jessel's husband said, I fly to Vietnam just to get a sandwich, and they all insinuated that he might have had a Vietnam girlfriend, boyfriend, who knows what, besides an egg roll or whatever.
Justice for Pavitt. I'm actually friends with Pavitt and Jessel now. They came to my book launch because when that episode came out, and I am so culturally inept because I never watch movies on planes ever. I don't go to the movie theaters.
What do you do on planes?
Housewives, because I don't have time, usually when I'm home. So on my computer, I will buy the $2.99 episode. And I will always have all the Housewives episodes. That is my time on a plane. I just catch up. So
I want to say because I'm flying to New York tomorrow, and I find that the 5 hours go by quicker if you watch a series, whatever that is, with a lot of episodes, 45 minutes to an hour versus 2 movies.
For sure.
Even if they're good movies, I don't know. There's something about then starting another movie. But if I'm just watching Veep, or 30 Rock, to the next one, to the next one. It totally, next thing I know, it's
And for me, that's just house. So I get so much joy out of having my Housewives moment, no distractions, so.
Okay, get back to the Pavitt. Sorry.
So anyway, the internet is like, Points Guy, we need you to weigh in. And justice for him. So what he was doing is called mileage running and to get elite status. And so he got a mistake fare to Vietnam and he was going to get frequent flyer miles. He's flying first class on Cathay, which is an amazing airline. Fully, he's not there for sex tourism. And Psy and the bozos were being completely out of line.
And also, he has 2, his twin boys
twin
that are
boys,
little,
a beautiful wife. They're just,
but also it's a chance to get away.
Yeah,
I mean, it's a chance to just have a hotel room by yourself and the plane ride by yourself. Like for some people, that is luxurious.
And what most people, and why I wrote the book, and in the book I say we're in the platinum age of travel because yes, in economy it sucks. Don't get me wrong. Like back in the day, it was nicer in economy. But what people don't realize, in the golden age of travel, economy was more expensive than first class today, and only rich people could fly back in the day. Nowadays,
that's why they were all dressed up.
Yeah, that's why they're all dressed up. But like, it was expensive, it was dangerous. There used to be hijackings. Like this notion that like the best days of travel are behind us is false. Like what you're looking at now, if you know how to fly in the front of the plane, like what Pavitt was doing, you're getting Krug, caviar, you're getting waited on, and you have a lie flat bed. And you can get tipsy, watch your shows, sleep, and then you wake up in Asia. Like it's actually enjoyable to travel. Like people in this points game, like flying to Vietnam, most people are like, that sounds horrible. The only reason you'd want to go is to have, sex with a prostitute. But it's actually people in the points world. So I'm watching that episode. I'm like, oh my God, my blood is boiling because these idiot women are just being shady and they don't even know what they're talking about. So I chime in and then Jessel's like, thank you. And Pavitt starts sharing it. And Pavitt's a great guy. Like, so total team Pavitt there. And it's very normal for people to do that in this mileage world, that we live in. So
now you're working on your website. It's growing. You're a single guy. You still have your regular job.
Yep. But then the New York Times writes this article. And what I'll tell to any of the entrepreneurs out there, always check your spam inbox. So I had started The Points Guy. I'm working at Morgan Stanley. I'm like blogging for fun, but not making any money. I'm like $200 in the Google ads. I get into affiliate marketing, which seems scammy, but all I had to do, I was writing about credit cards anyway. What's the best credit card for United? And I would just do analysis of which card. But instead of linking directly to Chase or Amex, I was just using affiliate links. And so, boom, all of a sudden I start making money from the site. I quit my job at Morgan Stanley. And just the site starts like growing like crazy because, back to the spam inbox, I was going through my email and a reporter for the New York Times had emailed me and it sat in my spam box for a month. And it was New York Times interview request. And I remember exactly the exact time and location. When I opened that, I was like, this is huge. And I realized I met with the reporter because there were people were like frequent flyer miles are useless, blackout dates. But I met with him and showed him, and he had a girlfriend in Brazil. And I showed him how to use his frequent flyer miles to go see his girlfriend. He surprised her. And he's like not making a lot of money. And his mind was blown. He's like, you just showed me how I can visit my girlfriend when I didn't have it in my budget. So he ends up writing an article. It's like the Points Guy website is gold. It links to the Points Guy, this tiny little blog. But then Google then sees this blog getting linked to by the New York Times. And so from that point forward, it was like a rocket ship. Because then my traffic, you would search for the Amex Platinum and the Points Guy would come up before Amex. So then also I just start making money. And then I realized using media, because most travel bloggers are very awkward individuals. There's not very many charismatic of the original points bloggers. So I'm like, let me be this, hip, tuned into pop culture, like show me actually traveling on planes and kind of create a lifestyle around it that I think people aspire to. And instead of me just like being like ultra filtered picture in first class, it's here's me flying first class and here's how you transfer your Amex to Emirates to fly on your dream trip. Like I want to bring people along for the ride. And back to your point about the community hating me sharing secrets, they do, but like my millions and millions of fans get to live incredible lives. Like when people come up to me in the airport, it's never to ask me a question. People like hug me and they're like, you helped me take that trip to Hawaii. Or I got to take my kids to Cabo, I lost my job, but we still, and to me, that's like, I firmly believe I have the best job in the world.
Okay, so now cut to you're living the high life. People want to be your friend. Where do you go from that to then deciding I want to be a single dad and not try to find a partner?
Well, I always wanted to be a dad. I mean, my life was wild. Like when I was 28 when I left Morgan Stanley, then a publicly traded company comes in to buy my blog in 2012. So I went from making $70,000 a year. I had this almost $30 million offer to buy my little blog after a year and a half. So it was like winning the lottery. And and I get to travel. And
so you sold it.
So I sold it, but they were like, I'm 28. They were like, and I'm the points guy. So they were like, you have to still run it. I had a 3.5-year deal. But then the site just keeps growing and growing. I'm doing press and media. So they re-up my contract. They're like, just keep doing what you're doing. The business is gangbuster because, I have a team of writers, but we're now like we were essentially the top credit card website in America for getting.
What was your major in college?
Spanish and a minor in economics. So it's like.
So you weren't a business major, but.
Was not a business, but I like had business internships. I was student body president. And for anyone listening with kids in college, like we're all, I think as a society, like obsessed with grades and testing and scores, but like student government and learning how to be a leader. I was campaigning. I was like, I joined a fraternity. I was like the big man on campus, but those skill sets far and away set me up to succeed and moved to New York. I worked in fashion, ended up at Morgan Stanley, and then started my own thing. So I had like a 2.8 when I graduated college because I never went to class, but I was running a student government boards, traveling and like kind of learning how to connect with people, which I think has paid off more than like, Roman philosophy, or astronomy classes that I didn't like. So yeah.
So now you have a couple bucks, but you still get to do your work and your fun. And so how did you get to, okay, I'm ready to start a family on my own?
So I'm one of 4 kids. My mom's one of 10. So big Irish Catholic family.
So am I.
Long Island, like.
My dad's from Long Island, Long Beach, Long Island.
Yeah, my mom was born in Garden City, Floral Park, like big Irish Catholic, middle class family. I have 3 siblings. They have 11 kids. Wow. So like, just like, and I grew up in chaos. I don't know how many cousins I have. I think there's like 38 on my mom's side, but like family events were just chaos. Like, and I loved it. I had a really, so like, I think that's ingrained in me to have kids.
Yeah.
But I'm in my 20s, 30s, building this website, traveling the world. I was dating people, but, didn't find the right one. I actually, business is good. I'm in my late 30s. I proposed to someone after like 9 months. He was really fun. He was not meant to be my husband. And then the pandemic hits. So it was the week the world was closing down. And I just remember thinking, I was like, I don't want him to quarantine with me. So I was like, let me call off this wedding.
Wait, that is why?
Well, there was a lot more going on behind the scenes, but like the pandemic helped. It was like that do or die moment. I remember like New York shutting down. I remember thinking the bridges are going to close. And I was like, I really don't want him locked in a house.
But you hadn't called off the wedding yet. So this was the do or die moment, really.
Everything was great until I proposed, and then things started to like chatter behind the scenes. So the pandemic, I'm one of those like people. It was like the best thing that ever happened to me because I couldn't travel. I was like traveling nonstop,
right,
partying. Like the pandemic for me was like pause, called off my wedding. Didn't travel, reconnected with my family. I have a farm now in New Hope, Pennsylvania, which is like the new hot spot. Like the Hadids lived there, Bradley Cooper, I think Taylor Swift just bought a farm in the area. So it's like this beautiful little farm town outside.
Wait, I'm going to interrupt for 1 minute. What is your prediction for Taylor and Travis?
So here's my prediction.
And then we're getting back to that story, but I need to
off the record, they deny buying a farm in New Hope where it's like, and my think is that I think she's like pregnant or will be pregnant. I think they may just like, I think she's going to want to have kids. And I think they're going to she's going to have kids, stay with him.
Well, then I don't know that you saw our girl's post recently, Claudia from The Toast.
What did she say?
She said, do you think it's possible that Taylor has gotten the ick from Travis after he lost the game and dropped the ball and was wearing his cheesy outfit and like strutting around like a housewife that's, looking her runes. And what do you think? And then Paige DeSorbo wrote yes or something. Now, I have said there's been moments where I'm like, I was afraid she'd get the ick once he kept trying to sing and get on stage.
Yeah.
And since she didn't get the ick then, I don't think she's going to get the ick because he lost a game.
And I think for her, the last thing is having kids. All of her best friends have beautiful, gorgeous kids. Like, I think she's probably just like, his genes are good. I've got everything. But
I disagree. I think she is that I got everything traditional girl. And I do think she wants to be married before pregnant, or at least engaged before pregnant.
Yeah.
I just think that she wants that.
Yeah.
And I said, if he doesn't ask her by April, I have no hope for this relationship.
Yeah.
But you said you think they already have this farm.
I could see them like
near you.
She has a surrogate somewhere, and like one day she's going to have a kid, and they bought this farm near, Gigi, and all of these other people are raising kids in this beautiful area. Like, I don't know, could that? I mean, that's just like my, thoughts on it, because she's conquered the world. I mean, and I think she sees it with all of her best friends and their young kids. Like, having kids is it. Like, that's.
She might want to be like a trad wife.
Yeah, you never know.
Make her own bread and butter.
And she's from PA, raising kids in this like area not far from where she grew up on her Christmas tree farm.
So you have your your fabulous place. You have your money. You're still working. You're single.
Yeah, but like the 2020 hits, like not traveling, kind of had an existential. But I was like, I've always wanted to have kids. I have the money. I know I'm going to be a good dad, and so I start the process of finding, surrogate. I do the whole process on my own. During the pandemic, at an egg donor.
Was that difficult to find the right surrogate and the right egg?
The surrogates were are still in high demand. So the traditional surrogacy agencies have like 2-3 year waits. And so luckily for me, through social media, I was like posting, I think it was like in a press interview, I was like, I want to have kids. So a surrogacy agency, Elevate, who's done a lot of celebrity, they do LGBT owned. These guys are fans of mine. They're points people. And they're like, oh, we have this amazing agency. And we actually have this incredible surrogate we think you'd be perfect for. So kind of out of the blue.
And was this the first time she'd ever done it?
No, it was. So she was the golden possible. So it was her third time doing it. So you want someone who's done it before. She was in California, which is a very.
And you want someone who did it before just because they understand that, that they are carrying this baby and there shouldn't be a tie and they're not going to have a problem with.
Yeah. So when you're looking for a surrogate, you want someone with a stable family, because stress, like you don't want someone who's really going through hard times or doing it for the money or stress and this and that. Like, and she was in California, which is very strong as a single gay dad. I have friends who have done this in Kansas and other states where all it takes is one clerk to just, screw up the birth certificate. So she was California. She had done it before. She's a lesbian, married, kids of her own. Amazing. We like connected. And
she's just someone who loves being pregnant.
Loves it. And she was
liked being pregnant.
She was a nurse assistant and doing surrogacy. She made enough money. She put herself through nursing school. Now she's a full-time nurse and, has kids of her own. So but at the end of the day, surrogates are doing something because a lot of people love being pregnant. And so she was just like the most incredible surrogate. I got very lucky. I transferred one embryo. My son, he came October of 22, like changed my life. He's the cutest, Dean.
Yeah.
He's been to 16 countries in 2 years. He's just like the joy of my life.
So when I see you traveling with him and you're like in the little pod of the first class and everything, there's got to be at least one person with you to film and help, right?
Yeah. Okay. So I have, being a single dad who works, I do rotational nannies. So I have 2 full-time nannies that work for me, and they just do basically 2 weeks on, 2 weeks off. So 7 days a week, they live with me. My parents will take my son usually like 1 day a week. So the nanny gets time off, but they work 26 weeks a year and they make full-time salary. So they basically switch on and off.
And how did you figure out that routine? I've never heard of that before.
Yeah. So originally I had a night nurse, and then I just figured it out. So I had part-time nannies, but it's just the scheduling of it, because last minute I need to travel.
And they have to come.
So there are agencies out there who specialize in like celebrity families, like entrepreneur families where you're on the road jet setting. So these generally are, they're called career nannies. They're most, college degree and education. A lot of them were teachers, and you can make double what a teacher makes doing this, and you get to travel the world. So I treat my nannies like gold. They fly first class with me. I get them massages. Like that's, you got to take care of the people who are taking care of your kids.
Of course, yeah.
So then I found out about rotational nannies, and to me, I'm like, this is perfect, because during the week I'm in New York City a lot. I'm on my farm. I'm traveling. Like trying to do a weekly schedule in advance is just like chaos.
Right. That is true.
These rotational.
You can't have them like, I got to go home at 6 to be with my,
Yeah.
So, okay. And then when did you decide to have another?
So, I was like, let me just have my son, Dean. Traveling the world with him has been amazing. I mean, fatherhood I mean, parents, you get it. Like, there's just nothing like your child, it's challenging, but like seeing him grow. And then me having 3 siblings and just big family, I'm like, yes, it would be easy to have an only child, but like I knew I had one other boy embryo, and I'm like, me and my brother are 2 years different. So I was like, let me just try. And it worked. So Cooper Kelly came into the world in December, and my son Dean is like obsessed with his brother, kisses his head. Like, so I'm so excited now to see them. I wait till 3 months to start traveling, but I think I'm going to take them to Thailand for the month of April, since I haven't really had a paternity with launching this book 6 weeks after. So, but yeah, it's been just like.
And what do you love about Thailand?
I haven't been in years, but Thailand will be one of the biggest destinations because White Lotus just filmed there. So that's coming out. So it's similar to what Lotus did for Sicily. Like Thailand is a huge destination, but everyone's going to see the beauty of it. I mean, it's stunning. The beaches, the culture.
And is it a good deal?
It's a good, once you get there, everything is, the hotels, like Bangkok is like the hotel capital of the world. And it's probably like half as expensive as Italy in the summer. And I think people are just getting so sick of paying like $2,000, $3,000 a night for
a hotel.
And especially like going to Italy in August, it's like sweltering, it's crowded, it's hot. Like, I think people are now starting to think, okay, and I push people in the book, don't just go to where everyone else is going. Thailand's far, but especially if you use points, you can fly through the Middle East on Emirates or Qatar Airways. I highly recommend you can fly. Well, I mean, from LA, you probably want to go.
Tell me how to get there from LA.
From LA, I think and you can do stopovers. So when you use frequent flyer miles, a lot of the airlines, you could fly to Japan, stop for 4 days, get a full Tokyo experience. And then, Tokyo to Thailand's, I still think like 7 hours on a flight, but it breaks it up. But I think the quickest way, they don't have nonstops LA to Bangkok, but going through Hong Kong, Cathay's an amazing airline, Purpavit.
Yeah.
But using frequent flyer miles.
Then where will you stay? Will you get a house?
I will get a house because I have 2 kids, nannies and stuff. But like the Four Seasons, that's where they filmed Four Seasons Koh Samui. I might do hotels. Being in travel, I usually get hooked up at hotels, but it's a whole different ballgame now, needing like multiple rooms, and that gets expensive really quickly. But, for people listening, if you have points, one of the beauty, now there are all these tools and apps that'll do all the thinking for you. So the joy of like Amex points and Chase points, it's transferring to their frequent flyer partners. Like Amex points, you can transfer to Asia Miles, which is Cathay Pacific's program, and redeem for Cathay flights at a really good ratio. But you'd need to know if there's availability. Most people don't want to open up a Cathay Pacific account and learn how to use their award chart. There's a website called point.me, and it's basically like Google Flights. It'll tell you there's open flights, to fly through Seoul or Tokyo, and it does all the heavy lifting for you. And if you have an Amex card, you go to point.me/Amex, and it's free to use this tool. And it'll give you live availability on all the partners, and that's where you can get an amazing, value for your points without having to do like hours of research.
Okay, here's some other questions from Peter, my points guy. Which cards currently have the best welcome offers?
Yes. So there are the cards that I really recommend. The Capital One Venture X is really good. And here's a tip. So if Amex, a lot of times you can refer people. So if you have an Amex card or anyone has like the Amex Gold card is where it's at. Everyone thinks Platinum. But Platinum, it's good for getting in the lounges, but the Amex Gold gives 4 points per dollar on dining and groceries, which like most families, we spend a lot of money.
Yeah.
So my tip is like get the credit cards. Like Bilt will give you points on rent. So if you're renting, get a Bilt card. But Amex Gold is 4x on dining and groceries. And when you think about how much you spend in those categories, earning 4 points per dollar, like that's how you keep the points rolling in. So many people I know will be like, look, I've got my Amex Platinum and you're paying for dinner. And I'm like, you're earning 1 point when that Gold card. And so Capital One, Chase Sapphire Reserve. So I would say like Chase Sapphire Reserve, Capital One Venture X, Amex Gold, and Bilt are like the core cards that are like no-brainers.
And what about your credit score? Do you have to have a certain high credit score to get these great cards?
So in the book, I talk about this because credit cards will open up. It's so lucrative. I mean, in the US, you can literally get 100,000 points, $1,000 just for getting a credit card. And what most people don't realize is getting So you need to be able to pay your bills off in full every month. So if you're paying 20% interest, you're losing the value of all those points. So to play this points game, I want to be very clear. You have to, just like if you're using cash, pay it off in full every month, avoid, paying interest. But your credit, generally, the credit score is out of 850. And if you have over a 700, you'll get most of these cards. And as long as you don't have any negative, missed bills. But the more credit cards you get, the more available credit you have, and the less you're using, your score actually goes up. I have 28 credit cards. I've got an 810. I mean, anything above 750, it doesn't really matter.
Do you bring all your cards with you in a thing?
I've got my George Costanza wallet. I actually have a Gucci, a passport, and it with 20 card slots. I got it at duty free once. So I have my credit card. I don't travel with them. I only use 5, for dining. I use one card. But I have, in the book, I talk about points are one thing, and points are really valuable, but also perks. Perks, I cannot stress enough to people, so lounge access. But when airlines cancel your flights, airlines are cheap and they don't owe you money. That's what people don't realize. There are no passenger rights in America.
Right.
Unlike Europe, if you're canceled, they owe you 300 euros. But in the US, it's screw off. You're going to refund maybe in 6 weeks. But a lot of credit cards, what people don't realize, if you use the right credit card, like an Amex Platinum, the Chase Sapphire, if your flight's delayed 6 hours, immediately you get $500 a person to spend at restaurants. You can take your family to a resort down the road for a 10-hour delay and be spending and getting meals all paid for by your credit card company. Don't wait in line for a Motel 6 voucher from an angry American Airlines agent when your credit card will pay to put you up in a suite at the Westin at the airport.
So if I was in that situation and I know I bought my card with whatever, my United.
Yep.
And they're like, sorry, it's been canceled. There's some crazy thing going on,
yep.
even if it's weather, whatever.
Yep.
So then I call the 1-800 number and I say,
yep.
And then they look it up and they're like, okay, go ahead.
Yeah.
Okay.
So there's usually it's 6-hour delay, or some credit cards have a 12-hour or a cancellation where you have to spend the night. It depends on the card, and everyone listening, you can Google your credit card that you have, and it's called flight delay and cancellation coverage. And you just keep your receipts. You don't even need to call right then and there. You spend, put it on your credit card, put the hotel, the Ubers, and it says anything necessary. You can buy stuff at the store, makeup, deodorant, whatever, and you get reimbursed for it. You submit a claim, and as long as the flight delay is, corresponding to your coverage, and they just reimburse you. Same thing for, this is crazy. People don't realize if you buy gorgeous pair of sunglasses, you leave it at a hotel, or you drop them off the side of a boat, your new, within 90 days, almost anything, the credit card companies will give you it back. Even if you lose it, break it, it's stolen. It's called purchase protection. So my son just took a Sharpie and drew all over a $1,300 Jonathan Adler chair I just bought. I just called Capital One, filed a claim, and they're sending me a brand new chair.
Because you bought the chair with Capital
Correct.
One?
Purchase protection. And this is a game changer. I lost a Montclair jacket in Iceland once. I was filming. You just call up Amex. They just take it off your bill. It's crazy. And it's up to $10,000 per occurrence. So this is
wow, I did not know that, because I have lost and left things in hotels so much in all my years.
If you bought it within 90 days, usually, or 6 months, depending on the card, but your credit card will give you money for all of this. It's crazy. So even if, during COVID, if you got a villa, and so many people that summer, you prepaid for villas in Europe. I know so many people, you call up Chase and say, hey, technically it wasn't in policy, but it never hurts to ask. That's why these points people, and what I teach people, there's a whole chapter when things go wrong with travel, flight delay, you show up to a hotel and they don't have your room. So the book is 15 chapters, but you don't have to read it front to the back. There's a whole chapter on having kids. So everything I learned traveling with kids, what airlines will let you bring a car seat, which ones won't, what your rights are. It's really a resource guide to give people.
Is there a particular best time to apply for the popular travel credit cards based on offer history? Yeah,
so a lot of the credit card companies will have limited time offers. You never really know when they're going to come and go. Also, I recommend so there's the pointsguy.com/card match. So there's a tool, if you've never had an Amex card, the credit card companies are now doing more and more personalized, special offers. So they know if you have good credit, you've never had an Amex, they'll give you 150,000, 250,000 points. So before you apply for a public offer, always Google on the internet, just be what is the best offer on the Amex Platinum right now? this card match tool. It does not run your credit, but you can put in and see if there's any special offers. So see if you've got any special targeted offers, and even open up your like snail mail from Amex or the others. Sometimes they'll send really rich, to get you to get a credit card. So
is there any kind of scam to be aware of or mistakes?
So mistakes are, so a lot of times the credit card companies will send you, upgrade to this card. And so the problem is if you upgrade, usually they won't give you the big sign-up bonus, like 100,000 points. But you can apply often as a new card holder for a credit card and get the sign-up bonus. So if you're listening to this and you're like, I want to get the Amex Gold, let me just change my, platinum to a gold. Sometimes or if you had a green card, it behooves you to like apply new for a gold card instead of just upgrading, because you could forego that 100,000 point sign-up bonus. So, in the book, I have a whole chapter on earning points. By the way, credit cards are just one piece of this. Shopping portal. So if you never, ever, ever go directly to a retailer's website on the internet. So the airlines and credit cards have their own shopping portals where they'll give you extra miles. You just click a link. So if you're going to go to Saks, never go to Saks.com. You want to go, there's a website, cashbackmonitor.com. You'd put in Saks or whatever the retailer you're shopping at. It'll tell you all the airlines and credit cards or even cash back you can get for that purchase. You click through that shopping portal and then you get extra miles in addition to your credit card points. We call that double dipping. So for all your online shopping, all your back to school shopping, you could be getting tons. And sometimes it's, even Apple purchases, 6 American Airlines miles per dollar spent to get all your Apple products. So think about, and those American Airline miles are very valuable. So like there's all these different ways. If you take Uber, everyone listening, you should be getting free Marriott points. All you have to do is link your Marriott once to your Uber account. That's the top way I earn Marriott points. So I get free hotel stays for the same exact Uber I would be doing, but you click once to attach your Marriott and you'll have free points just rolling in after each ride.
So besides being the special credit card person to get the upgrade at the hotel, is there any other thing to say or do to get that better room when you arrive?
Well, the first thing you want to do is not book through online travel agencies. So if you're booking through certain, like the Expedias of the world, they hate those bookings because they have to pay Expedia or the others a huge commission. So on a totem pole of guests staying, like you're at the bottom, because when you book directly with the hotel, they're making way more money off of you. You're a better client.
Okay.
So I'm not saying to never book on an OTA, but price check. And often the hotel, when booking direct, will give you the same rate or better. And in that case, book direct with the hotel. Because if the hotel is sold out, they literally will walk those guests who book through online travel agencies, give you the worst rooms. The only exception to this is luxury hotels. So many people I know will say, I want to go to Four Seasons Maui. You go to Four Seasons website. No, stop. Don't do that. You want to book luxury hotels through luxury travel agents because you're going to get way more perks than usually directly on the hotel website. And these luxury travel advisors are worth their weight in gold because they book tons of clients at these hotels. So think about it. If it's your honeymoon or whatever, get a travel advisor. They're not going to charge you anything extra usually because they're getting the commission, but they will call that hotel. They will let them know it's your honeymoon. And if anything goes wrong at a hotel, you kind of have to go to the front desk. Hey, my room sucks. It's not really ocean view. If you book directly with the hotel, they're like, well, sorry, that's what it is. If you go to a top-notch travel advisor who books tons of clients at that hotel, those travel advisors, you better believe they pick up the phone. They're talking to the GM. And they're like, if you don't take care of Heather and her family now, like we're not going to send other people to you. So when you have the backing of a top-notch advisor, Virtuoso is like the creme de la creme of travel advisors. Plus, they can do so much for you. If your airlines screw up, your travel advisors, you don't have to wait in the long line at the airport. You can call your top travel agency and they can rebook you on another partner because they have full access to the airline. So even if you have to pay for the travel, if you're spending a lot of money on trips, safaris, Roar Africa is like the best safari agency. They will do everything for you, especially traveling within Africa. Flights are canceled. They'll have people waiting in the airports for you if anything goes wrong. So whereas I think a lot of people are like, travel agents are a dying breed. False. They're actually now more relevant than ever, and getting good ones can totally elevate your trips, save you time and hassle, and they know the ins and outs. And when anything goes wrong, you call them and they'll fix it in a heartbeat.
Wow. Well, I love this. Now, Are you looking for love, or are you just full dad mode? I mean, are guys into finding a built-in family, or what have you found?
I think a lot of guys want to have families, but I mean, it's stupidly expensive. Like, I don't understand how. I mean, I'm very lucky. I've done well in life, but my God, like just the surrogacy, it's like $200K plus, and then kids.
So now, wait, did you use the same surrogate for the second child?
So this was her third time doing it with me, and her wife at the time was like, "Sorry, she's closed for business." And she didn't want to do it again. So I found. Through Elevate, they got me an incredible, my second surrogate was a queen. She was actually a nurse practitioner in neonatal NICU. So she like takes care of babies for a living. She was the best surrogate. We're super close. I was like, my son was born over the holidays. We were at her family's house. We're really tight. So I've had two amazing surrogates. They are angels on earth.
And then the egg donor was from the one person.
Yeah, so I did a retrieval. So when I got my egg donor, I did a month's worth of eggs that we retrieved. And then I made embryos. So I had like 7 top-notch embryos like on ice right now. Like I had 2 boys, used both of them, and they worked, thank God, the first time each. I was very fortunate. Dr. Donishman is my IVF doctor in San Diego Fertility Clinic. The best. Like San Diego Fertility Clinic, Elevate, Surrogacy Agency, they have been so amazing for me.
And so how did you choose your surrogate? Not surrogate, sorry. How did you choose your egg donor?
It was kind of fun. I mean, I would, there's a lot of things you can look for. Education. For me was like, I wanted healthy, and where possible, like, you know, mental illness. Some people will list their health histories. Like I tried where possible to kind of weed that out, because I see how challenging that is. And I do know that there is a lot of hereditary. Yeah. So if I'm going to try to help my kids, so I was looking for like healthy, and they tell you their parents, their grandparents, how they died. But then I want a beautiful and sort of kind of look like me, since my kids will be, I didn't want people to look at them and having them look so striking and be like, oh, what's your mom? What's your dad? You know, like, so anyway.
That's interesting, because my friend who, her son is 19, and so it was called single mom by choice back then, and it was, you know, not as many people were doing it. And I remember she said, I chose a sperm donor who looked like me, because I'm like, I'm going to have one kid, and I want the child to look like me. So
I think it's natural. You kind of get protective when you're. So you know, she's beautiful, healthy, and at the end of the day, I just like, you look at these profiles. You can sit there all day long, but I just went with my gut. I was like, she loved animals, rode horses, seemed cool. I was like, this is just someone I connect with. And
is it the same thing? Because like my other friend like bought the whole lot of the sperm.
Yeah.
So were you able to have her then not donate anymore?
No. So she had donated to others. I don't know if you can like take them off the market.
Oh.
So... But I got like a month's worth. So I had like 7 embryos, which they say you want like 3 embryos for every child you want. And luckily for me, I had a high 6. If you do like genetic testing to the embryos, it increases your chance, because they will actually rank all your embryos. They know how to like see the healthiest ones. So I was able to use the very top-notch embryos, which dramatically increases the approval rate when you know some embryos are just not meant to be viable. Yeah. So when you do the analysis. So I have other embryos on ice. We'll see. I'm very happy with my 2 boys, very busy. I'm 41. But yeah, I'm dating. It's just, I mean, with this book launch, 2 kids, it's hard to like really create space, but I'm always open. We'll see.
Yeah. Probably not going to happen now that it's always.
But I find I have had no trouble dating. I find people, But
I'm saying the right one was going to come when you're not like, even
exactly
where you're like, I don't even, or not, or maybe you don't, maybe that you want to live that single life. Like, I think for all my friends that have gone through some horrific co-parenting, I've been saying for a long time, like, Andy Cohen did it right. Yeah. Like, then when the love comes, and if it goes away, it's not taking your kid every other weekend. You know, it's like, it's something to consider if you're at the place of making the choice to be a parent. Don't rush in
with someone
and go, I need a partner for this because I'm at this age or stage in life. Yeah. Like, because it's a lot easier to get divorced than to co-parent with somebody.
So I go to bed at, like, knowing my kids will always be mine, 100%. Nothing like that to me is like, takes the stress out of, being with someone that you're rushing into. I avoided a near disaster, so, people are always like, you're so brave. I mean, I'm like, I just know I'm a good dad and I have great family, friends. It takes a village. I have great nannies. So I love the setup that I have. I have zero, I push people to, a lot of people are successful, busy, you can't find the right spouse, but like want to have kids. So I highly recommend.
Yeah. I think if it's in your heart where you're like, my whole life, I knew, like, I remember when I was just single and I'd like come home from like doing stand-up and I'd watch like reruns of Jerry Springer. And I remember just being in this bed. I had no boyfriend or nothing. I was like 27. And I was like, I know I want to be a mom. If I never meet somebody, I'm still going to be a mom. Yeah. Like, and then there's other people that are like, I don't even know if I really want it. I'm like, that's a gift too.
Yeah,
that's a gift.
Totally.
If you're not dying for then don't do it because you'll never know.
Yeah.
You'll never know what you're missing. The thing when people go, what's the biggest thing? I go, the biggest thing is when you are a parent, you're going to worry about someone till the day you die.
Yeah.
It'll never change. It'll go up and down. But it'll like hit you or you'll see something. And if you're not with your kid or then you all of a sudden imagine like the worst. And that is what a non-parent walking will never experience. Yeah. And that's good. Like that to me is the worst part. Of course, there's all the great stuff, but the worst part is just that forever there's just like, there's always going to be some anxiety if you're a parent. It's just an impossibility.
Now my boys are with me all the time. I haven't done school yet. So I'm like, and living in this happy bubble. They come with me wherever I go. We're on the farm. It's like, but once they start like going in and like becoming friends, and then you just have to give up control where they're like, just hope they're making good decisions like that. But parent, you just learn to deal with every phase of it, right? Like you can't prepare for
and
it.
Sometimes you're like, oh, I wish my kid was more social or less social. And then you see an awful thing that a terrible thing happened at a high school party. And you're like, well, now I'm glad my kid wasn't that social. Like it just is like, it's just, but I do think it continues to get better. I mean, my kids are now grown and I love it. And
what was your favorite age if you could choose like 0 to 18?
My dad always said his favorite was 9. And I think 9 is a great age because I remember like sitting across from my son, like getting yogurt, and it was like just the two of us, and we were having such a fun conversation, and like so they can like get their own shit together, they can take their own shower, they can pull their own suitcase, but then you can have this conversation and they're still into you, and they still have to ask to do things.
Yeah.
So, but of course, the cuddly, wuddly, kissy time is something that if someone said, if you could jump back and have one day, I'd want one to be like 8 to 10 months.
Yeah.
And then I'd want the other one to be like 3.
3, yeah.
Like I'd want to jump back to that time of when my kids are 3 years apart. So like that and like go to the park.
That 8 to 10 month juicy.
And like make the kid lunch.
Yeah.
And take the nap.
Yeah.
And like all of that stuff,
Yeah.
But it's exhausting too. And I know that the reason I think I don't remember a lot of it is because it was like sleep deprived. And when I think about like coming home from like working on Chelsea lately and still having to do like homework, food, bedtime, make up a bedtime story, do the bathing and all that stuff. And then all of a sudden I got to a place where I was like, oh my God, I actually like have the evening to myself. That's like a weird thing too.
I'm making up the bed. I'm deep in that now. My 2.5-year-old, and I'll make up a really creative story. He's like, another. And I'm like,
there were so many creative ones
like,
that
how
I was
many
like,
more?
Why was
I'll say something I said like a month ago. He's like, no, you told me that. And I'm like, geez, I got to really be creative here. He's like holding me accountable.
I think you should, when you do it, you should like record them. Because I wish I would have done that. Because I feel like I came up with some really good ones.
Yeah.
And not that I was, need to do a children's book, but like there were some really fun, creative ones. And then one day they just go to bed.
Yeah.
And they don't ask you for that. And at first it's like, oh my God, this is amazing.
Yeah.
And then one day you're like, oh, that's over with now.
Yeah.
It's really, It's great, though. I'm really happy for you. And I'm so excited to read the book. And I know my husband and I and my son is like super into like finance and money, and he's getting his own credit going and stuff. So I'm excited to share.
So important for the parents out there with teens. Get them started young. Like I talk a lot about it in the book. But even just adding your child as an additional card holder on your credit, they can inherit your entire lifetime of good credit, which allows them to start setting their own, getting them their own card, making sure they're responsible. I made so many mistakes. I think a lot of young people do because they're not taught this in school, or, I'm sure in wealthy areas, kids are just given credit cards and not really told how to responsibly use them. So I think credit education and setting your kids up for success so that when they graduate college, they don't need you to co-sign. They understand how to pay bills. Like, I think that is like such a service to kids to give them the responsibility and not just have everything handed to them.
Yeah, I love it. Well, thank you so much. Brian Kelly's book is How to Win at Travel. Founder of The Points Guy. How do they follow you on Instagram
so
and all that?
Personally, I'm at Brian Kelly, so I share all my travels and tips, but the company is at The Points Guy. The Points Guy is our website. We have I write a weekly newsletter where we break down all the best deals and tips.
And then you're going to tell us when you get a glimpse of Taylor with a bump.
Yeah.
And
that's some juicy scoop.
Yeah. All right. Thank you.